Okay, our 6.4 item, 9:15 a.m., consideration of Lake County Resource Conservation District's annual report. And we have Dr. Lyons. If you'd like to come on up, you can have a seat here this way.
Good morning. I'm Harry Lyons, and I'm president of the Board of Directors of the Lake County Resource Conservation District. And we are 6 board members and 8 part-time employees who are dedicated to locally led efforts at sustainable use of our natural resources in Lake County. We are a state special district. Our head is in the state, but our heart is in Lake County, and we want to thank you right off the bat, the county, for assisting us and asking for our assistance both. So I did present a slideshow. I did send in a slideshow. Is it available? I also have it in a thumb drive if you need it. I'm going to start, my second slide will be on the money. And last year, our financial situation was so awful that I wandered around trying to learn how to disband a special district, a resource conservation district. I talked to surrounding districts and to the local area agency formation council, and fortunately, no one would help me. And so we struggled along, and we're coming out of a financial dip. And so here you'll see on this slide, you'll see our total budget for the surrounding years. And in 21-22, we got down to about $150,000. But we have profited from the Inflation Reduction Act and many of the grants that were made available through that, and also for our fire protection and resilience work. And so our financial situation is looking a little better. Since I want to specifically thank the county and the people of Lake County for the county tax contribution. And so that second column there is a constant input of readily usable dollars. But you can see also that most of our income comes from grants, federal grants, state grants, and contracts with the County of Lake. If I can have the next slide. This is the way our programs are organized. Leadership and operations is an important part of our work because we want to increase our capacity. We do watershed program, soil health management, forest health program, and then fire preparedness and resilience. So I'm going to go through each one of these. And so if I can have the next slide. First, there's leadership and operation. When we found ourselves in a bad situation, we hired some professionals. So what you have is a board of 6 people, average age well over 70, trying to manage a $500,000 business. And to increase our capacity and get to the point where we could hire a full-time executive director, we hired consultants. And the people that found us, and we found them, were Jade Conservation Collective. And this is an organization of people with decades of experience in running RCDs, Resource Conservation Districts. And I know that Supervisor Pyska and Supervisor Simon have worked with some of the individuals from Jade Conservation Collective, Megan McClure, Kristen Murphy, and Alyssa Robinson. And they helped us build and train our staff. We've taken on more part-time employees, and they have trained our staff, including Alma de Paredes, who is our administrative assistant. Alma came on board about a year ago into a sleepy little RCD and has witnessed an increase in her responsibilities and the work that's required of her as we have grown. We have looked at partner input, and we look forward to hiring a forester and an executive director. In fact, we just approved the advertisements for those hires. We look forward to a 5-year strategic planning session very soon. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk about the watershed program, which is a longstanding program at the RCD. Most of this was accomplished by Greg Dills, who for decades kept the RCD afloat and cooking, along with Linda Juntunen, who I'll mention later. Currently, we are working on oak reforestation in Trailside Park in Middletown for Caltrans. We had accomplished last year the 16-acre restoration in 8 Mile Valley. So this was reconstruction of a stream. But we're doing oak reforestation for Caltrans. We're also doing revegetation and fostering of native plants for Caltrans on Highway 29. So Trailside Park and Highway 29 work for Caltrans. We are also working from money channeled from the county, from the California Department of Food and Agriculture, for the eradication of goat's rue. And that's not a picture of goat's rue, that's lupin, but goat's rue is also a very pretty plant, but it's a problem. It got that name because it's poisonous to goats. I've chewed on it and survived, so I'm not a goat. The next is a restoration of the right wetlands. This is a piece of property in southern Lakeport that we want to restore to its condition as a wetland. We want to save the world one swamp at a time, as my wife says. And we want to thank the Lake County Land Trust for partnering with us in this effort. This is money from the Wildlife Conservation Board, which is part of the California Department of Food and Wildlife, and it's being channeled from our statewide Association for Resource Conservation Districts. I want to applaud a member of our working board. That's Mary Jo Velasquez. She's working on this right restoration, as is Greg Dills, who I mentioned already, Larry Ray, who is our project coordinator, and Scott McLean, who is our field technician. In other words, he's the guy that does the actual work. Next slide shows the health program of the soil. And this is deep roots for RCDs. Before we were resource conservation districts, we were soil conservation districts. And so it's always good to return in strength to the soil effort. We've joined the North Coast Soil Health Hub, connected well with other North Coast RCDs. We have a soils expertise available to us through JADE. And we have 2 grants from Conservation Works, which is a nonprofit in the North Coast. We'll be doing some on-farm research and regional demonstrations. And we have from Clerk been bestowed a regional conservation planning partnership program that Clerk felt that would fit us a little better. So we're going to bend that to some soil work. We also look forward to future contributions to the Lake County Climate Action Plan. Somewhere in there, the RCD will have input so that we can begin carbon farming, carbon plans for farms, for vineyards, and for orchards in Lake County. We want to think of soil as something additional to what we traditionally think, and think of it as a carbon sink. So that's where we're headed. Next slide, please. This is a shot of Soda Bay Road, where we've been doing some clearing. Our work in Forest Health Program, our recent work, began with the sale of 250,000 conifer seedlings in 2016 and 2020. And the RCD sold these to people replanting in the fire footprint of the Valley fires and the fires that followed it. This was a donation of $60,000 from the Lake County Rotary Clubs in this effort, and it was a multi-year effort. Currently, we are doing technical assistance to private owners of forest lands. And technical assistance means management plans. It means monitoring progress of plannings, but it also means assistance in the paperwork and assistance in getting the money from government agencies that are involved with the reimbursement of private people. So technical assistance sometimes involves a pen and a pencil. We look forward to future workshops. We have $250,000 coming from the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Our local representative for the NRCS is Erica Lundquist. So she's very much involved in this technical assistance work. We also have secured a $375,000 grant for forest health and fire resilience projects from CAL FIRE. The folks doing this work are Thomas Bendor, who is our forester, Kevin Soland, who is a new forester to us, been with us for about a year, and Ren Ward, who is a forest technician. Looking over those young foresters is an old forester, Jim Bridges, who is a retired registered professional forester, and he serves on our board. We put him to work too. Next slide. This is fire preparedness and resilience. This, of course, has become more and more important to the RCD in the last decade. And the person connected with this more than anybody else is Lori Hutchison. And Lori Hutchison's work is supported through the county from money from Title III, the National Forest Service, and that is to the tune of about $30,000 a year. We're working on a new contract for that work. This work centers around fulfilling the promise of the CWPP. And the CWPP was produced in part by the RCD and the efforts of Linda Juntunen. So we wanted to mention her along with Lori Hutchison. Hazard mitigation work and roadside clearing. We just completed a grant, $65,000 grant from PG&E. It is a joy to work with PG&E. They're a corporation, and corporations pay much quicker than the government, much quicker. So we're finishing that project for PG&E. We are not involved in home hardening, but we trumpet the cause for the grants that involve that on the website for the Fire Safe Council. Okay, if I could have the next slide. This is a reminder of what the LCRCD is. It's a special district of the state of California, and so it is not a nonprofit. It is not a corporation. It is not a limited liability concern. It's the government. It's a non-regulatory arm of the government, and we have special relations with the federal, state, and county government. We have profited greatly from our standard agreement with Caltrans, and we hope to form a standard agreement with CAL FIRE as well as we go forward. And the next slide, wrapping this up, is a list of our partners. And there you have a little lake of acronyms, and I tried to fill those in. The thing about our partners is that we would not get very far without them, and we hope in the years ahead that they won't get very far without us. And the organization has now some 17 active grants that we're pursuing. And we still keep up with our educational outreach. The board of directors has 2 field days, one in Middle Creek and one in Cache Creek for 4th graders. And scholarships for 12th graders and sophomores in college, and also workshops of various types. This work is accomplished by Shula Shoup, another director, and Kate Schmidt-Hopper, and I help a bit there too. So we're still reaching out to the community. We're still raising trout in classrooms with the help of our associate director, Tony Bly-Levin. So trout eggs turn into trout fingerlings in classrooms, in 8 classrooms throughout the county. And then the students are involved with releasing them into the natural environment. So we're taking care of the small fry in all types. Thank you for your attention. I hope you have some questions.
I'm so glad you're here today giving this update. You know, when I first came on 3 years ago, one of the first things we did is sit down together and try and figure out how we were going to grow capacity for the RCD, the Fire Safe Council, and the Risk Reduction Authority. And we went in many, many circular and spiral and messy conversation directions trying to figure this out. And it's, where we are right now is miles away from where we were this time last year and 3 years ago. And, you know, when you made that call to me, I think it was last January, and said, I found someone to start working, and that was Megan with Jade. Everything has fundamentally changed. We've partnered on so many grants, and we have so many big plans that some of them we're going to talk about a little later today. I'm just so excited, Dr. Lyons. Your commitment to the RCD and the county, I'm glad you didn't give up, because we wouldn't be here without you. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for the collaboration we have with all of these partners, and that you're always there and you're always creative and willing to do whatever idea we come up with. You're always on board and want to help. And the staff that we have with Jade and with the RCD now is making huge strides and huge changes and really pushing us in the direction that we have to go to deal with the climate issues that we're seeing on all fronts. So thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing the work. I'm incredibly grateful to you.
Thank you, and I want to say that this board that I work with and the employees and the Jade folks are a joy to work with. There is a warmth to our meetings, and so it is fun to continue.
Okay. Anyone else? Supervisor Green?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the excellent presentation. If I were to offer one smallish constructive criticism, it's like, tell us where to find you. Tell us these good things, because I'm going to want to hear more, and I'm going to want to drill down to this. So I'm just going to skip. It looks like your website is lakercd.org. As I recall, you may have a small office down at the Ag Department on Lakeport Boulevard, and it looks like the telephone number is 263-4180.
Sounds good.
For general outreach, and there's other contacts on the website. So there is additional information. The slide deck that you just presented would be a lovely addition to that. And so thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all the hard work, not just you, but all your fellow directors on the board.
That's for sure. And to keep in mind the directors, and thank you, Supervisor Green.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Dr. Lyons, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm glad you brought up the trout fry at the end. I was going to ask, because usually you bring pictures of the classroom environment, and that started again even post-COVID. That's continuing that project, which is awesome. One of the things that you seem to have glossed over, and I got to ask, you were talking about your struggles with money, but you didn't mention the big $1 million amount for 24-25. Are those prospective dollars on grants that you're looking to obtain, or do you know if you've already obtained some of these funds for?
We've obtained most of these funds, and it has to do with the APGP program. It has to do with another forest health program, and the National Association of Conservation Districts. There's bits and pieces coming together. There's no one giant grant, but several different ones.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what we've been doing is strategically planning out our grants so that we can have the RCD manage projects and thereby build the capacity for the RCD. So a lot of the grants that we've been applying for are layering on each other and helping all of the organizations and partners. So that's why when we have an idea for a grant, everybody comes together, we work on it. We really work on it and make sure that we can have all of our projects and priorities strategic so that we can get the grant award. And then we can have these funding opportunities for the RCD and the Fire Safe Council and next the RA, which we'll get to a little bit later today. So that it's not just one grant for one organization. The RCD has been writing grants for the county over the last year. So, we've been really successful through all these partnerships.
We have been very careful about counting our dollars because we're advertising for an executive director and another forester. And so you don't want to hire someone that you don't have money for. In many cases, in the last few months, we have applied for grants with positions, ghost positions. In other words, the people needed to do the work didn't exist, and we were lucky to land the foresters, forest technician, and the administrative assistants. So to me, that's a little scary to ask for work without someone to do it, but so far we have played that game well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a game that you have all played.
Thank you very much.
Supervisor or Vice Chair Simon?
Yep, I just would like to thank you, Harry, and the RCD for all the work that's being done. When I came on board and we started a lot of these conversations, the big conversation was the CWPP. And you kind of glossed over that today. I know the dollars are important, but the CWPP being completed, updated, and moving forward really helps us, as you said, even in the grants that Lori's working on and everything, following through on what needs to be done here in Lake County as far as the CWPP. So that was a very big accomplishment, and it is a collaboration effort. You've attended every RRA meeting as RCD representative as we move through these processes. We have our climate resiliency officer, and to see the collaboration and the coordination that's happened it's exciting. We're almost there. We got a lot more work to do, but we're moving in the right direction. So I just want to thank you from day one when I got to take my tour with you as a supervisor. I understood your commitment to the county and the organization that you're a part of, and all your board members. Just want to thank you very much, and thank you for the report today.
Well, thank you.
Okay, I want to open it up for the public. Looks like we've got someone here.
Hi, good morning. Is this on? Okay. Terry Luxon, Chief Climate Resiliency Officer and Tribal Liaison, and I've worked with Dr. Lyons and the RCD for a number of years. I did not realize how dire it was a few years ago, so you may have heard me gasp a moment ago, because I can't imagine Lake County without a resource conservation district. And the sea change that has happened since working with Jade Conservation Collective gives me such hope. It is amazing to work with your staff and consultants, and I wish you all the best, and I look forward to continuing as we work on climate-related issues. So thank you for this presentation.
Many aspects of the grant for the climate adaptation planning involves environmental justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the consultants are very good about that. There's another thing that the Jade Collective is good about, is they do not see their role as permanent. They want to get staff on board so that they can disappear and go on somewhere else. So that both of those items are encouraging. The diversity aspect and then the temporariness of their assistance.
Do we have anyone else in the chambers? Do we have anyone in the Zoom room? I'm not seeing anyone. Okay. Well, any final thoughts from the board? Thank you so much, Dr. Lyons, and I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more in over the next week. I think the next grant is due Wednesday, so we've got a lot more work to do.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.